If you're tired of doing low-value repetitive tasks online, or you're interested in building solutions to help people with this using AI, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I automated using AI one of my big business pain points, and that is having to find and download invoices to send to my accounting software Xero each month. I'm also going to show you how I applied this to booking my favorite gym class while I sleep so that I never miss out and stop having to wake up in the morning and find that the class is already booked out. I'll show you which technologies I tried, which ones worked, which ones failed, and which ones I ended up ultimately going with. The catalyst for me for building these solutions was I felt that there had to be a really great way to do this now using AI. Web automation's definitely not a new concept. It's been around for quite a while, but the way that you can now solve for it using AI is very new, and it's much better. A lot of the traditional approaches were quite brittle. Any change to the underlying websites could break the automation. And they're also really complex to set up because you had to be quite specific around which elements on the screen you had to modify. But with AI, you can simply give it plain language instructions and it will navigate the site just like you're instructing another person to do it for you. Okay, so the first tool that I looked was Axiom AI, and this was recommended from a bunch of research that I did within ChatGPT. I think this is one of the platforms that predates AI. It is a pre-existing web automation tool. I found it very complex to set up. It looks like they have been trying to add AI-related functionality into it, but it's not a natively AI platform. And so to give you an idea of what was involved, one of my workflows was around booking a gym class, and I had to be very specific around which elements on the page it needed to go and find, and it needed to click and then step through the next one. And that was quite difficult because the contents of the page change a lot depending on when you're going into the site, and there's no specific unique identifiers. So very complex to set up, certainly not something you can just use plain language to instruct it, and was really a non-starter. To me, it wasn't using the new technology that should be out there and that I knew was possible. So a little bit more research, I came across Skyvern. This is an AI native platform. Definitely the promise is that you can use plain language to instruct it. And what I found after some initial testing was that it failed at getting the task completed. It got stuck in a loop. It was consuming a lot of credits. So I did top it up with about $10 worth of credits, and it went through those pretty quickly. It has plates that you can use. It had one for downloading invoices, and I found that it failed with the use of even its own template. So that was disappointing, and I went searching on again, and I'm glad to report that I did find one that was up to the task, and that is one that's called Browse Use. And I found this to be a fantastic tool. This is designed for plain language instructions, and it can go off and complete a whole bunch of tasks for you. There's great features in the web console here for being able to debug your solutions. You can get a list of all of the agent sessions that you've run, all of the different automations with what the outcomes are. If you click through on these, you can see a breakdown of the steps that were taken during the automation. So you can see it's giving me some reasoning. It's giving insights into what's happening on the screen and how it's interpreting those. It includes screenshots for each of the steps that it takes. And most importantly, it was able to get the task done that I needed to get it to do. And it was also very cost effective. I started out with, you can see my credits here in the top right. I think I started out with $10 worth of credits, and I've run a bunch of automations through it, and I've still only used half of those. So browser use is good for actually executing on the automations, but it doesn't have features around orchestration. So things like scheduling when the automation is going to run, or having it push that data into other systems. For the invoice workflow, I wanted to email the invoice to Xero. And so it won't do that for you, but that's easily solved because what you can do is you can wrap it inside a platform like Zapier or Make.com or N8N. These are really popular automation platforms. I've used Make.com because I'm really familiar with that platform. I've built quite a few automations in that one. N8N I know is really popular and is quite a bit more cost effective as well, but you need to add those. And so Browser Use has some really great APIs, excellent developer documentation that allow you to then integrate in and get it to do the actual execution. That's an overview of the tooling, but let's get into the actual solutions I was building. So I'll just give you a high-level overview of the invoice one that I built. I picked one vendor that I could retrieve the invoice from, but this could apply to any subscription product that you're paying for. In this case, it's a online news subscription, but you'll commonly find for subscription software businesses that this is really useful. And what I needed it to do was log into the financial review site where I manage my account, access the invoice, and then email that invoice to Xero. So if you're familiar with Xero or you're familiar with accounting software, you might know that they tend to have, well, Xero has a feature where if you email an invoice to it, it will automatically create a bill. It will scan the contents of the invoice, it will create a bill, and then when you go to reconcile your transactions, which is a very painful task for a lot of business owners, it will massively streamline that because it will be able to match the transaction to the bill, and so you can just reconcile. You can actually completely automate the reconciling of those transactions. So it's quite cool because this solution basically then combines with what's available in Xero to provide this end-to-end streamlined process. So that's what I needed to build. I'm going to go across to my automationmake.com. Now I'll explain to you what each of the steps are here. The first step is setting the prompt that I'm going to send across to browser use to tell it what I need it to get done. And then I've got a create task module here, and that will send the prompt off to browser use, and that will trigger a session. It will then, the automation then sleeps for a little while, so wait for the automation to be completed, and then we'll call a get task status. So we'll ask browser use for the status of that task and what the outcome, and then what it will also do is retrieve the image URL. So the last step of this automation involves the invoice being loaded up on the screen. And so there's a screenshot URL that I'm able to use to then download the file and email it to Xero. So I won't show you the contents of each of these modules, probably a little bit too much in the weeds, but at a high level, that's what's going on. And I do want to show you the prompt though, to give you an idea of what information you need to send to browser use. For this, it's kind of the level of instructions you would give to another person if you were asking them to complete this task, basically. So going to my account, logging in, and then specific steps. So I need to click on manage now, go and find the latest invoice. This is a really good application of plain language because I can say to it, just go and find the most recent invoice and it will work out what that is. Whereas, the previous really prescriptive ones, I'll have to tell it the exact invoice ID and things like that are really not helpful. And then it will open the invoice up on the screen and download the invoice, or save it, not save it because I actually just want an image of it to then send across to Xero. So yeah, that's what I plugged in, and look, this works fantastic. If I run this automation now, that sent that off to browse use, and what I can do, that's one in the background, I can go into the browse use console here that's got a summary of all the agent sessions, and I'll see at the top that this one's green, it's live, this is one I've just triggered. And if I open this up to see more details, it's going to give me the breakdown of the steps it's already completed so far. And then something that I really like is actually you can get a live view of what's going on. That's what we're seeing on the screen here. We're seeing the live feed of the browser use completing those tasks for me. And then at the end of that process, it's going to send that into Xero, and I'm going to see the bill that's being loaded up there. So that's a fantastic one, works great, and my plan is to expand that across all kinds of different subscription providers that I have. Okay, so the second one I mentioned in the start of the video was called Class Booker. This one needed to log into the website for the gym that I go to, find and book the class, and then email me to let me know what the outcome is. So again, I've got another make.com automation, and similarly, it's setting the prompt, it's sending that off to browser use, it's sleeping for a little while, and then it's getting the status back from that automation and sending that email to me. And I'll show you the prompt as well. This one I put a little bit more detail into, but it's basically saying, here's the URL, filter the list of classes, find this specific class, which it did a great job at doing. There's a little bit of instructions here to handle if the class is booked out, what it should do. So I could tell it to just kind of make a note of that and email me that in the outcomes. And so that's what that is then able to do. And to just kind of bring that to life a little bit more, yeah, you can see the automation I ran around the retrieving the invoice. I've got an email to my inbox as well, and it's told me it's successfully navigated to the invoice preview page, and the invoice is attached to that email. So that's worked exactly how I needed it to. And the Class Booker example, this is where it's emailed me and it's told me the class was successfully booked for myself. So that's been great, because just to kind of bring to the surface more how painful that was, I would often, the bookings for that gym class open at 6 a.m. and I set a calendar reminder to myself, but inevitably I'm not online at 6 a.m. And this class is very small and very popular. And so I logged in, I'd log in at 8, 9 a.m. maybe when I sit at my desk, and it's completely filled out. And that just happens every week. So I'd like to think I've kind of outsmarted the system now to be able to run this automation for me while I'm asleep at 6 a.m. in the morning. That's an overview of the automations that we've run there. Like I said, browser use, fantastic platform. That was absolutely key to getting the automations work. So yeah, look, if this looks of interest to you and you have some business processes, tasks that you'd love to get automated as well, reach out, build up some really great experience now in getting these automations working. And at Product Edge, we can definitely help you with solving for automating those processes and freeing up your team to do much higher value work, which AI is, absolutely fantastic at being able to do. All right, that's everything from me. Thank you for your time, and please be sure to like, subscribe this video if you'd like to see more of these, and reach out ned@productedge.ai if you'd like to chat about any opportunities you have in your business to apply this technology. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. Bye.